Like,
Yes.
what's so funny? Somebody told me the other day that every moment is almost the same, but from the future, the past, because you already know how it ends, looks good, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But I will say, compared to the 2010s, man, the 2020s, hey, like since the beginning of 2020, it's just been like COVID and then one thing and then
Something. It's
another,
always something.
and then like these wars and whatever, and it's just I don't know. I think because I've known you for so long, like we've kind of walked the same path, and so it's easy to know, like like to actually like it's hard to find people who understand things when I explain to them, because they're like,
Hmm.
oh, that doesn't make sense. Like if I'm like, yeah, I've had
Yes.
visa issues, they're like, yeah, I don't know about that, or like even just explaining to them like moving around and living in different places and whatever, most people don't get that, but you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Yeah.
and so yeah, like I don't know what you think about that time, but when I was listening to this song the other day, and I was like, you know what, like it's actually worse right now in so
No,
many ways. I mean
you're right. It's the nostalgia. It's like, on my playlist, I have a lot of like those type of music, and like sometimes I just go on a ride, on a drive, and I just put them on full volume. I just listen to. It just brings me back to this like moment of like, wow, that 20, like you say, the 2010s, and it's like, sometimes like it's hard to find the people that will actually like understand. They'll listen to you. If you want to vent in that way, like they'll listen to what you say, but it's always hard to find that person that was like, oh yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. So sometimes you become that for yourself, and I just, or at least for me, I just get in the car, turn on the music, and play some Diamond Platinums, play some
yeah,
Bob
yeah,
Marley.
yeah. I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
so that's so
those
good.
those were the times, man. Okay, so because you know me so well, do you have a question for me?
Do I have a question for you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think kind of like what you're saying about like the 2010s and the 2020s,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
like it's a different time period, I feel like. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so I think my question is like, you're living in Kenya right now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
living in the States, and I think we both. I don't really I have first of all, I haven't really talked to you in a while,
You know
and I
why?
feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're saying like there's people that can relate. And my question is like, what are some things that you're doing in Kenya, like with the jobs, and like you're talking about this like rioting and stuff like that, and then we're living over here. Like, if you were to explain to like somebody that's living in America, it's like, how is it, what's the similarity, and what are the difference in the current like 2010s, and like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
we're
Well,
not
okay.
we're separated by distance, but to some
Yes.
extent we're very connected in
Very
a lot.
similar. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay. That's a very good question. Actually, like, I think the 2010s, in Kenya were such a chill time. Like, I mean, looking back, the only incident in the whole decade was really, there was two. There was the Westgate attack on the mall in
Hmm.
Nairobi, uh, where like Al Shabaab came in and shot people. Then there was also the university attack in Garissa. Those two were the biggest things. And then there was like some political issues, but it wasn't huge. And so then, like, I feel like in 2020, that age of people, I don't know, oh yeah, that age of people grew
Yeah.
up to be adults, right? And so now the difference between the US, well, Kenya then and now is like we had a lot of people, but they were illiterate. Right now, the majority of people are very literate. Like they've gone to school. The biggest generation is like 20 to 29 right now,
Hmm.
and then a lot of them have gone to school. So it's very hard for them to accept the things that our parents used to be okay with. So that's like the
Right.
biggest difference. And so like I think COVID was kind of a turning point. And so now there's a lot of social issues, economic issues, like all these things that people now are bringing up to the surface that before our
Yes.
parents were so okay with because they didn't care. Like if someone's reading the budget, they will just kind of look at the TV and be like, oh, whatever. Now the people now, the adults now, like the young adults now, are so smart. They will go and like look at every single detail and be like, oh, that's not right. Oh, that's not right. And so now, like, I feel like we are the most proactive. age, um, and we have to set the precedent for the next like generation, which is you never want to be that group that makes like sets like makes the times good. Have you had that statement that a tough man create good times or something like that? I feel like right now we have to go through a very tough period so that the
Yeah.
future generation kind of you know kind of enjoy the fruits. But again, it's like
A similar saying goes like, "A calm sea never makes a good sailor," or something like that. You know.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so now, like, another thing is in the 2010s compared to now, there was no social media, so that has changed the landscape. Like,
Yes.
even like with work and all these things, like in 2010, Kenya, I mean, there was Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, but it wasn't that big. And then TikTok came in, and I don't know why people even like Kenyan creators, every single person I know has a TikTok account. Whereas
Mhm.
like no people are not so into like making YouTube or like, posting on I mean they posted on Facebook, but not as much. I feel like it's because the ease of editing. Like it's very hard to do a long form video and then edit it into YouTube for people to like. But for TikTok, it's very short. In fact, the worse it looks, the more interesting it can be sometimes. And so yeah, so I feel like right now those two things have really transformed how everything happens. Like if someone gets slapped, right? Like out here, and someone recorded it, the whole of Kenya is gonna know. It's you like everywhere you go, there's a camera watching, and so one, it's really brought awareness on very important things. Like sicknesses and all these things like HIV and whatever, where people used to be very stigmatized. Now you go to TikTok, there's someone talking about that. It's brought awareness
Yes.
on like political
Yes. Yeah.
issues, economic issues. There's always people sharing on like how you could make money, how you could do this, how you could do this. Yes, it has a bad side to it, but I feel like people have really, really, really like benefited from that compared to like the other generation.
Yeah.
Now, for
Yeah.
the US, man, where do I even start? The 2010s, I
But I
feel like
mean,
the US.
to kind of like to kind of or like go on the same trail you're
Yeah,
going on. You know,
yeah.
it's exactly. I feel like I'm not. I'll see a lot of it on social media, but I'm not as a political guy or whatever
Yeah,
they call
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Exactly what you just talked about is actually what we are seeing here too. It's a bit of like the young generation are actually like their purpose is like they're actually standing up for something. They're standing up against the government. All that's going on, and it's like like I said earlier in my question. What are some we're separated by distance, but like there's a lot of similarities. So like the generation in Kenya, like what they call them, Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah, yeah.
Kenya and in America, it's the same mindset. We're all fighting for the same thing, and we've kind of we are able like to stand up against anything that's like
Uh huh, uh
oppressive.
huh, uh huh.
We have our purpose, and we know what
Mm-hmm.
and so
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
we're just very, I guess, rebellious in positive
yeah,
terms.
yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting because, like, I think we will again, like I said, in the next 10 years, we look back and either look at this time with a lot of fondness or regret.
Yeah.
I really hope it's not regret. I hope we don't say we should have done more or we should have done
Mm,
this or we should have done this because
mm,
again, like right now, in as much as there's a lot of young people who are trying to change the world, there's also a lot of young people who are so comfortable they do not care, right?
mm.
Like they're kind of like there's the shepherd and then the sheep. We have a lot of sheep too. There's people who just they double click, they move, they double click, they move, they get their food, they sleep, they go to work. That's it. And so we also have a lot of those people, and I think the reason why I figured this out is because of who Andrew Tate is, right?
I know Andrew. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Him rising to power shows that there's a lot of people who do not leave their home. Imagine,
Uh,
imagine, imagine this.
you
Someone
think?
works from home. Someone works from home. They can order food. They have a laundry machine. They have a gym at their house. What are they going to do outside, right? So then, like what they do is they'll work and watch YouTube, and then one way or another they'll fall into the grasp of Andrew Tate, and then now they will capture the views. The views go outside, maybe find a few friends who also have the same idea. Um, And then that's so every time they go out, right? That's what they meet. And so then Andrew Tate says women should do this and women should do this. So it's creating a lot of men, right? Young men who I think are so into like so sheltered and in a cocoon that they don't really understand the real life. So either
Yeah.
you're like a shepherd or a sheep. And so
Mhm.
I feel like in the same way, like I'm gonna be totally honest. I see people like now, I'll sit down with them and I'm like, hey, yeah, so how's it going? And they're like, it's like, yeah, oh, sorry. Uh, wow, did you see this TikTok? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then I'm like, so who's your favorite TikToker? Like, I don't really have one. I just watch TikToks, you know. And then you'll say something like, man, I love playing FIFA. They're like, you play FIFA? You should play Roblox. I'm like, oh boy, like it's they're so into that the
Yes.
world they kind of and these are the people who like to be very honest, like I'm also not into like political stuff, but people don't do their research, right? They hear what someone else says, and if they trust that
That's
person,
very good. That's very
if they
good. Yeah.
trust that person, they will just go with that. So let's say
Mhm.
you and I are like we've known each other for a long time, and I say, Edie is a bad president, and Edie does this, or Edie is so good, and Edie does this. If I don't do my research, right, all I'll do is like, I trust what he says.
Mhm.
I think,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think he's right. I think, and I will not do my research. And then the next time I'm seated with learned people who actually do research, I'm gonna spew my nonsense to them, and so it's the same thing that I see all the time where someone comes up with like an out of like left field take. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, where did you hear that? They'll go, yeah, do you know that the president's wife is a man? I'm like, oh, where did you hear that? Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was talking to someone
Yes.
about
Yes.
I was talking to
Yes.
someone about the French president Emmanuel Macron, right? There was a video of him slapped by his wife. I don't know if you saw this,
I saw that. I
but
saw that.
yeah.
Yes.
And so I was like, man, that's interesting. And then somebody just out of nowhere went, yeah, his wife is a man. And I go, oh, okay.
Hmm.
Tell me about that. And they're like, yeah, Candice Owens. I'm like, oh, okay, Candice. And so then I'm like, who told you this? Like,
And there
yeah,
was, I'm sure they were very confident saying
very,
all that.
very, yeah, yeah. And they have like receipts. Pull out the receipts and start a business. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, what is this? But yeah. So that to me is like, it's hard to know if you're a sheep or a shepherd because again, I think in the Kenya is very different in this, but in the US, people are very isolated. Like you don't just walk into someone's compound or walk into someone's house. People kind of like being like you can't even touch someone's baby without their permission, right?
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
in Kenya, kids just run around. Like I mean, we
Hey,
grew up
kind
like
of, I remember
okay.
like when I was younger, like a random lady would come and pinch my cheeks.
Yeah, pinch your cheeks. Yeah, yeah, and you're like, oh hi, and
Do
and,
you
and,
do
and
that really?
yeah, yeah. In the US, they'll be like, "Whoa, we're gonna press charges," and you're like, "Whoa!" And so even like I remember like walking the dog down the street in South Carolina, and like you see people and they're on a run, and you're like, "Hello," they're like, "Hi," and then they just walk by, you're like. And here it's like, yo, what's up, man? How's it going? And so I think here it's very easy to know those people who kind of don't do any research. They don't go out because they will be exposed very easily. In the
Mhm.
US, it's very hard to just have a conversation with your neighbor. Like you leave, you go to work. You have to make an effort to have a community.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's a very
Yeah.
interesting world. But